Celebrating 17 years of Young Turks.
Hello and welcome to Young Turks, India's longest running show on startups and entrepreneurship. I'm Megha Vishwanath. Today we're coming to you from the city of Dharamsala, located in Kangra district in Himachal Pradesh, to bring you all the action from Startup Jalsa 2018. Startup Jalsa, a two-day startup festival in its fourth edition, brought in 50 startups from 9 cities to Himachal Pradesh. A residential conference, as the team likes to call it, Startup Jalsa's biggest highlight is its informal format of one-on-one meetings in Khopchas, where new generation of entrepreneurs pitch their ideas to leading VCs and investors to be mentored and, of course, raise funds.
I've always believed that we need to go to isolated places to have good conferences. The startups come with a lot of hopes to interact with investors. And you do an event in Delhi, you will have an investor coming in for 2 hours and then he'll rush back. So this place, Dharamshala, we knew that they were here for good or 48 hours. The startups got to interact with them in detail and in person. Dharamshala has given us the perfect setting in terms of the climate, but apart from that, it was one of those locations that we wanted to come because it's isolated.
I think it's the right platform to engage with those young brains with their brilliant ideas, a lot of takeaways,
Right.
a lot of investment opportunities also to those startup companies. I think it's a brilliant initiative.
Right.
And I'm glad that they have come to Himachal Pradesh, especially to Dharamshala.
With the average digital consumer spending over 2 hours per day on their smartphones, the content consumption behavior has evolved, and so has the game of creating digital content. While Jalsa brought together a bunch of entrepreneurs from different sectors, we decided to chat up with new media startups and homegrown content players. Now, with the average digital consumer spending over 2 hours per day on their smartphone, coupled with the fall in data rates in India, the content consumption behavior has evolved, and so has the game of creating digital content. Over the next couple of minutes, we try to decode the art of new age storytelling and find out if these entrepreneurs have found the secret formula to go viral on social media.
I'm the CEO and co-founder of Scoop Boop Media. We're about 5 years old. And we've seen that the content has really changed when we started in 2013 to what it's now. Just to give you a sense of what we do, we produce content in textual and video format. We're doing about 3,000 stories a month and producing about 100 odd videos. And we've seen that the entire behavior and of content consumption has changed in the last 5 years. Whilst good content is still relevant, but the formats in which they are being created and the formats in which they are being distributed have changed.
Okay.
Just to give you a very small example, when we started, Facebook used to be the largest platform for distribution of content. Today you have Snapchat, today you have something new called a TikTok, which is, it's a completely different world out there. You have ShareChat, which is doing really well in tier 2, tier 3 towns.
Okay, so you're essentially cross-platform and creating content pan-India, of course, for a certain age group.
Yes,
right?
that's a good way to define us.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Moving on to you.
My name is Saurabh Pant. I'm a CEO of myself, and I know nothing about what TikTok is or ShareChat. I have no awareness of what is going viral and how things are working and why they are. I just know that I create content and sometimes people watch it. I'm a stand-up comedian. I create a lot of videos. I've released about 40 stand-up clips over the last 9 years, and I've got almost 53 views total.
Great.
Across them.
Great. That's our benchmark to have anyone on this panel right now.
And I'm also going viral on TikTok as we speak.
All right. Rohan?
My name is Rohan Thakur, and I am just about 4 months old, I think, when it comes to since I've started making vlogs.
Okay.
So I think you can call us what they call YouTubers,
Okay.
single-handedly doing like a lot of the different things that are required to put a piece of media out. And I am catering mostly to a very niche audience who love the mountains and living outdoors.
So before I move on to the slightly more mainstream content,
Yeah.
what you've been doing is more offbeat. And whenever I meet
is.
vloggers, I'm always intrigued to know, what are your expectations when you're creating this content, and how do you choose your platform, or how do you make sure that you're distributing the content to the right viewers?
Like, I'm doing it on YouTube right now because
Okay.
that's where everybody is.
Right.
So I thought that's the easiest way to
Break into the
into the market.
Yeah.
Like, And because I had made a few shows beforehand, so I already had like an audience.
Right.
So it was quite easy for me to like immediately gain these small amount of subscribers that I have.
Okay.
And now I'm starting to build that into much bigger thing.
So it's a slow, patient.
It's a very slow, patient.
It's a long-term game.
Yes, it's a very long-term game.
While you're trying to figure it out and experiment on the go, sort of for you, it's a very push and pull approach, right? Because you're performing offline, you're doing these stand-up pieces, you're building a brand, you're trying to get people to watch your stuff online, and folks who have discovered you online eventually end up coming to your shows and buying tickets to see you offline. So it's a very it's a cycle almost, right?
I mean, you're presuming that people will come and see us offline. No, they do. I mean, it actually helps. I think initially when we started off on YouTube and Facebook and all the other places, what we thought of was that everything that we're creating for online is essentially marketing costs.
Yeah.
Because my main aim is to get bums on seats and basically steal people's money. That's my whole aim in life.
That's your business model.
Yeah, that's my business model. Steal people money, and then they're like, "Oh, that show was terrible." I'm like, "I already got your money." So
aren't all businesses like that?
Stealing money from people, is that how we want to define it? So I'm going to ask you. So for essentially what Scoop Whoop does is actually sometimes picks up content from what folks like Rohan and Saurabh do, package it in a different way, and then try and push it to a different audience altogether. So let me understand the model here as to what Scoop Whoop is doing.
So see, that's one aspect of what we do. We
of
also
course,
produce original
your own content. Of course.
Yeah, but see, where we are different from the two gentlemen here is that they're artists, and we're a media company. We're a publication.
A platform for the artists.
Yeah, so I mean, if they create good content and we have the audience, I think we're able to bridge that gap. Not that they want all the time. But what we've been very proud of is that we've been able to get younger creative YouTubers and creators and feature them on our platform and show them to a larger audience.
Now, I know there is no short success to virality, but do you find yourselves at some point getting stuck to that formula as content creators? You know, what's worked one time, is it necessary that it will work every time? Do you find yourself getting stuck in that loop?
I mean, there's a I think constant temptation to try and do the clickbait nonsense, and sometimes it does work.
Not anymore, because obviously your viewers have matured.
There's too much saturation around that. But look, I mean, to answer your question, the formula is always there and it's always changing.
Yeah.
What's working today will work for a short period of time, but there's no guarantee that it will not work tomorrow. But having said that, I think the core reason why someone shares a particular video or likes or dislikes a particular video, that hasn't changed. So the art of storytelling hasn't changed, only the art of distribution has changed over the last, I would say, about the last 5 to 10 years.
So amongst everything that you've created, anything that's clicked and you've figured out as a vlogger what works?
I think the show that I did recently, it's called Soul Trails. We tried to do something completely different in that, as in like it's a completely POV show. It's actually like the cameraman is the person, like, you know. So if there's somebody's acting out, he's talking to me, he's talking to the audience, and that way you're like in the. So I've stuck to that treatment, you would call it, and it's really working because people keep telling me it's really immersive. All your content is like we stick to your. It doesn't matter how long it is. I wish this was like half an hour long. I can't make half an hour long.
Yeah,
it's interesting how people are telling me to create longer content, and usually people tell me that ho gaya.
Just like shorten it.
They want a 20-second clip, and they're like, we don't want more of you. Beyond that, it's too much.
So
that's TikTok for you.
That's TikTok for you.
15 seconds.
I didn't even know that.
15-second videos.
Oh, is it? So it's Instagram stories basically.
It's a lot like Dub Smash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the business of media or the business of content creation, and that includes folks like us, is not an easy one.
Not at all.
And sometimes these views actually don't convert to financial returns, right?
Yeah.
So how do you then find the balance between not getting lost? Hey, I created this one viral content, but at the end of the day, I didn't make any money out of it, and you got to survive. So how do you maintain the business side of it?
So I think, content business is not a perfect business yet. The advertising models are still being tested.
Yeah.
And unless you're creating content that a Netflix or an Amazon Prime is, everyone wants it for free. No one wants to pay for it. So either you create content that scale where you're investing millions of dollars to create something of tremendous value that people will like to pay and consume it. Or if you're creating regular content, then advertising is your only way of monetizing it.
Right.
What we do well at Scoop is that we're able to take brands and immerse them into our storytelling and able to convey that to our audiences. We're able to tell their stories well. But having said that, the amount of free content that we're producing, there is only a certain revenue that's coming back. So revenue is still a challenge for a lot of content companies, and I'll be completely honest with that. I think what needs to happen is for media companies to figure out that there need to be alternate channels of revenue, not just advertising.
And what is that? What is that alternate revenue?
It can go into licensing. You can go into merchandise if your brand is strong enough. You can go
Is it enough to have like a merchandise or a licensing kind of revenue model to sustain in the long term?
I'm saying it's very difficult to sustain media businesses with one revenue model, which is advertising, especially in the times that we're living right now.
And what about folks like you?
I mean, as an individual person, I think what you got to realize is that you are your own company effectively.
Yeah.
And eventually, as you said, the money can come from any source. It could be, like it took me about 6 years to start making actual monetary gains from online content. It took a while, and now I think it's become easier and difficult and tougher. Like, I genuinely think somebody's going to shoot a stand-up special which will be on some platform entirely on the phone. It's easily probable. Somebody can shoot an entire TV show which will be pitched to any of the online platforms and stuff like that. So I think for anyone it's become easy. And for me as a comedian, like I've done almost 2.5 specials with Amazon Prime. Netflix is there, Hotstar is there. There's a bunch of other places.
There are new avenues for folks like you to explore and try and monetize from eventually as well.
Yeah, right? I mean it's the two models, right? It's the offline and the online model for me. And as a performer, there's a completely different thing that you're working on. Effectively, your ticket buyers are your investors when you think about it.
Yeah.
They're coming and they're giving you money. So I mean that's an investment of sorts. It's spread over a long-term period.
And how much does it hurt when you see random videos like Chai Pilo or some random cat video go absolutely viral for 7 seconds of content?
I don't think much of my own content, so I think anyone going viral is a happy thing. Whoever, like, it's great. I'm happy for everyone. As a comedian or as a singer or as whatever else it is, it's just about telling the story that's relevant to you and also making sure that your title has clickbait in it.
We're back to clickbait on that. Now, amongst the many decisions that the startup founder has to take while running their business, one of the most important ones is communication. When is the right time to get a PR agency on board? How much presence in the media is too much? And what is the right time to withdraw and take a step back and just put your head down and focus on the product? To find out how entrepreneurs find the balance between media and their work and not get lost in this frenzy, I caught up with 4 startup founders at Startup Jalsa, and here's a snippet of that conversation.
There are multiple channels that can be categorized as media, and the 4 founders who are sitting here all come from different sectors and at some point during their startup journey have interacted with different forms of media. So that's what we will try and explore. Before I start the panel, I'm going to quickly ask each panelist to tell us when they started up, that is the year that they started up, and when did they get a PR agency on board. Right? So Arvind, let's start with you.
It's difficult to start off without a media agency in place. So a media agency was a prerequisite to starting a business. Okay. So we started with the media agency even prior to registering the company.
Prior to registering a company. That's example number 1.
I started Common Pro in 2007 and we did not know the term PR or media by then. So we were not smart enough to hire a PR agency, and I would say in fact probably that was the right choice, and we could actually focus a lot on the product. 2012 is the time when we actually onboarded our PR agency, and after that it became slightly more, I would say, more like a function in the company. Before that it was more about organic.
Okay, so 2007 and then PR agency
2012.
in 2012.
Right.
So 5 years after you started up, you felt the need to get an agency on board. This one is really interesting and extremely refreshing. Go ahead.
So we started in 2008. We've never met, interacted, discussed or hired a PR agency as of today.
So my first startup was in 2007. So that didn't work out till 2012. It was a failed startup. But we had an agency at that time. We hired the agency on the day one. It was a golf startup. Needed a lot of PR. Came on Young Turks too. Nobody remembers it because it's a failed startup, so everybody only remembers good startups. Then I restarted on 2012, which is Beer Cafe, and again the PR agency was one of the first hires.
Let's try and understand, how do you arrive, or when do you know that it is the right time to get an agency? Does it depend on the sector that you're in? For instance, Rahul, you're Beer Cafe. You need to be constantly relevant and in the minds and eyes of people for the business to run. It's a consumer-facing brand.
Yeah, any consumer-facing brand, and especially which requires an ubiquity. And a ubiquity basically means you need to be everywhere. So in our case, you need to be everywhere with our beers, like having our cafes across the nation. But you have to be on every media. And like you rightly said, the media is just not newspapers and electronic media. The media is also social media.
But Rahul, how do you then decide on the balance? How much is too much?
It's a double-edged sword. Media is your friend, and it can be a very bad enemy too. So it's all on you. You put your mirror there, and you're looking at yourself at any given time. Anything can go wrong.
Okay.
One thing can actually destroy your brand.
Sumit, I want to just recall this instance. So I met Sumit for a shoot on Young Turks back in 2012, and I remember when we reached out to Common Floor back then, they didn't have an agency. And while we had arranged and lined up that shoot, the day I actually flew to Bangalore, there was this PR agent at the shoot, because in that 1 month, Common Floor had roped in an agency. Journalists were calling you, and it was more organic. And live post 2012, where agencies were trying to engineer this and drive coverage for you. What was the biggest difference at that point?
I think before that, even the journalists expected us to not know everything about media, right? In terms of media kit and stuff like that. So we were honest. We were talking about our product, and
after PR agency came and you weren't honest.
No, actually, yeah, you're right. It was more of staged and more of meetings being arranged. You need a PR agency to do logistic things. That's the reason we opted in, right? These guys, to make sure that they can coordinate with you well. From my point of view, I used to be a lot more open, and media used to be a lot more friendly to me when there was no agency, because they understand that you as an entrepreneur are not in the business of dealing with media. They are in the business of, right, covering you.
Okay, we'll come back to that, but we need, how did you manage to stay so detached and did not feel the need to get into this game at all?
So I think, first of all, I think we have a B2B product. So it has very specific segment that we need to approach. It's not like in the mass media. For us, it was very contextual. We would, pre-Paytm, a lot of people would approach us with very specific contextual stories if they're doing on mobility or loyalty or CRM, and we would get introduced in that. A lot of times, the stories that we've been involved in are also from the brand side.
Okay, well, Vineet had a simple choice to make because they were a B2B platform. Arvind, let me ask you, you were running a smartphone company where you were launching at some point a smartphone every quarter. How do you then find the right balance of A, making sure that your brand is relevant and there is a constant presence in people's mind, and second, how do you balance just at some point just switching off, putting your head down and just focusing on building the product?
Well, whenever it's a consumer-facing business, as Rahul also said, media has to be there. You can't eliminate it. And PR has to be there. You can't eliminate it. As far as I was concerned, personally, my PR agency did train me at times, say this, say that. But I think after 2 trainings, they realized this guy is going to say what he feels like rather than what he's going to be tutored for.
Have you ever got it wrong?
Precisely so. There's never been a mistake on the media side. And I think on the other side also you're dealing with a human being, right? End of the day, if you're honest and you're talking sense and you're relevant to the media, you never had a problem. Whenever you try to hide something, you're going to get into a problem.
When things are going good, you want to be covered, and you would of course be happy to give interviews and speak to folks like us. What about when things are going bad? Would you ever admit a failure? Would you want media to come on board then and be honest about it and not have PR agencies telling you exactly what to say and what not to say?
Talking about failure is not something which is a taboo. And if you ask any of us sitting here, all of us would have more failures than successes. Right. We had a phone which used to heat up in the I told the media that the customer said it was worth making an omelette for. There's absolutely no issue in talking about failures.
Okay. Sumit?
If something is so confidential, then you don't want to tell customers or employees or media, then it's fine. But let's say there's something which is concerning the larger audience, which is, as you said, product failure or some issues in your company, right? Then I think it's important. Obviously, you have to time the thing well, because sometimes there's a process. You start a process and you end. For example, in our case, right, the quicker deal. So I will tell you that the deal was actually arranged by the media. And there was a news article which came that Quick is going to acquire Common Floor, and then Pranay and I had a chat and we said, what is this? But then Pranay said, does not look like a bad idea, why should not we chat? Let's talk about it.
So the media arranged that deal?
Yeah, correct. So, but the problem becomes that now when you talk about things, right, because the things take time, and as an entrepreneur, you want to be 100% sure and you need to be having all the data points before you go to media. The challenge becomes that media sometimes does not let the founder talk about failure, and they expect them. In fact, we used to read a lot of information from media, and in fact looked like that they knew more than what we knew at that point of time. So they had the numbers, they had everything before we, like, by the process going on, but they knew everything actually beforehand, and they used to publish that. So, but I think there's a maturity from both sides. As a founder also, you have to be proactive and go and talk to media. At the same time, media also has to make sure that that they actually verify information. At the same time, they kind of understand the sensitivity of the information at a lot of times.
Rahul, have you ever gone a quarter without any coverage and thought, okay, let me just see what my ROI is?
Not even a week.
Not even a week. Now, if I may go ahead and ask, for a consumer-facing brand like yours that has to constantly be there, what's the divide between paid content and editorial content?
Unfortunately, it's getting very paid nowadays because there's so much of noise and everybody wants to make money out of this. So even the social media is becoming paid, starting with likes of Facebook and Insta, where if you do not have a boost, you're not going to be seen with your own. So you got 300,000 people on a page, but nobody sees it till the time you pay Facebook money. So even Facebook wants money. Coming from a perspective that whether you want an advertorial or you want a real editorial, the real editorials will happen whenever there's a relevant story. So I get a call almost every month. Won't name the daily, like you rightly said, we have to be politically correct here. But are you raising fund? I said, no. Have you raised fund? No. How much have you raised? No. There's no funding. Okay, fine, there's no new news. The only news they want to cover is how much have you raised. Because of that reason, you have to go towards a lot of paid media.
How much is too much, and how do you know how much to focus on the product? So finding the right balance, let's just take closing notes on that.
Product is king. So as far as I'm concerned, PR is an always on situation. Keep on focusing on that. But your key variable to get success is actually your product.
So don't let it go over your head, because please understand that the reason you are on TV or newspaper or any other media is because you're the co-founder of a company. So please understand you are playing a role, and the role, so when you see yourself on TV, you should feel good about the stuff you are building, the product you are building.
So I think first of all, sales is not equal to how much PR you do. So as a startup, that's something that you should be very clear. You should have the capability in the product and your teams to build sales. Media and very segmented, contextual, strategic usage of media could then drive up product visibility or your company's visibility.
My perspective, product is housekeeping. If you don't have a good product anyway, what are you doing? So if your mission, which is ours, that anybody who's drinking should only drink beer. So if that is what their cause is, then you need to be there every day. You have to be omnipresent. You have to shout from the roof. Somebody, some out there would remember you, would remember your brand, and will go and consume it. Because at the end of the day, my life depends on you consuming beer. And so that's what it is. 4-letter word, beer, keep remembering that. That's what you have to do.
And that's how you pitch your startup. I think our key takeaways have been that you have to focus on your product, you have to focus on what's core to your business, and at the end of the day, media frenzy, no media frenzy, the role or the relationship between entrepreneurs and journalists and other media professionals is a bittersweet one. It is a two-way street, and as long as everyone is transparent and tries to put the best message out there, readers benefit, founders benefit, and so do content creators.